Beyond the buzzer, inside the game, this is Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Sports IQ, and so glad you're with us here on this Monday. It is October 6th. I'm coming off another fantastic weekend. Boy, so much football and so many crazy outcomes, both in the college game and the NFL. We'll get into that here in just a moment. A bit later as well, Austin Nivison joins us from CBS Sports as the NHL season is upon us. And yes, the Florida Panthers going for the three-peat. We'll talk about that and much more. Producer Tony catching up with him here in just a bit as we're getting ready for baseball playoffs, WNBA finals. There is a lot to talk about. This is always a fun time of year. I don't know about you, but it was great this weekend. My son and I, recent college grad, just started his job. We just sat Saturday and we're just flipping around just between the football games and the baseball playoffs. And it was great. Ordered a pizza, we grabbed a couple of, sodas and it's a great time of year. Always enjoy this time of year. And it was really warm too, which is nice. And hopefully you enjoyed it as well. Okay, let's get to some highlights right now. We're talking a lot of football here to start the show. Just about through 5 weeks of the NFL season. It'll conclude tonight. And already the 1972 Dolphins players can light their cigars. No more undefeated teams in the NFL. They remain the last team to go undefeated. Way back when. In Philadelphia, the Eagles had a 14-point lead in the third quarter, looking good for win number 5, but the Broncos said, hold my beer. Bo Nix leading the Broncos on 3 scoring drives on 3 possessions in the fourth quarter. J.K. Dobbins rushing for a 2-yard score in the period, and the Broncos wiped out a 14-point deficit to hand the Eagles their first loss of the season, 21-17. Give the Broncos defense some credit. They held Saquon Barkley to just 30 yards on 6 carries for head coach Sean Payton. Win number 173 of his career. That moves him past Bill Parcells on the all-time wins list. That left Buffalo Bills as the last of the unbeaten teams. The Bills at home last night facing the Patriots. Quickly, by the way, becoming a decent football team. Drake May, the second-year quarterback out of UNC, tossing for 273 yards, with former Bill Stephon Diggs hauling in 10 catches for 146 yards, 119 of those coming after halftime. Andy Borregales hitting a 52-yard field goal with 15 seconds left to provide the difference. The Pats get the win on the road, 23-20. The Patriots winning back-to-back games for the first time since they won 3 in a row way back in 2022. New England now a winning record through 5 games for the first time since opening the 2019 season, 8-0. And the Patriots tighten the AFC East race by moving within 1 game of the 5-time defending division champion Bills. They are now 4-1. Pats at 3-2. Well, Ravens fans, don't look now, but I think all 4 wheels and the engine have fallen off this bus, carrying the team to the Super Bowl. C.J. Stroud putting on a clinic Sunday, throwing for 4 TDs as the Lamar Jackson-less Ravens took it on the chin, 44-10. The Ravens looking like a mash unit right now with no less than 7 starters on both sides of the ball out. Two of the league's winless teams, by the way, picked themselves up off the canvas, get their first wins of the season. In New Orleans, the Saints' Spencer Rattler got the first win of his career after 10 losses, leading the Saints to the 26-14 win over the mistake-prone Giants. Rattler threw for 223 yards and a touchdown, while his counterpart from New York, rookie Jackson Dart, had 3 turnovers on the day, including 2 picks. The Saints picked up their first win since beating the same Giants back on December 8th of last year. I'm not sure it's what's saying for the Saints or the Giants. Hey, the Titans and rookie number 1 pick Cam Ward were still looking for their first win heading into their game against Arizona. For 3 quarters, it was all Cardinals. They were up 21-6. Then the Titans found their groove and scored 16 points in the final frame to take home the 22-21 win and giving Ward his first career win as a starter. The Jets were at home looking for their first win as well, facing a Cowboy squad with no CeeDee Lamb, missing 4/5 of their starting line. Even that was not enough for the hapless Jets to get win number 1 on the year. Dak Prescott, despite the makeshift line protecting him, tossed 4 TD passes. The Cowboys over 400 yards of offense as they race past the Jets, 37-22. The Jets setting another dubious mark of futility. They become the first team since the league began keeping track of turnover stats to not get a turnover in the first 5 games of the season while starting 0-5. Other winners in Week 5, including the Vikings, Colts, Panthers, Commanders, Bucks, and Lions. To college football now is one of the wildest weekends we have seen for a couple of blue blood programs that left them battered and bruised. Who on their bingo card, raise your hand, back in August, that by the first weekend of October, both Penn State and Texas will be on the outside of the top 25. If you did, I really need you to plan on playing the lottery this week. Nittany Lions dropped their second game in a row, this time at winless UCLA. Texas got a beat down in the swamp at the hands of the 1-3 Florida Gators. So both of those programs are now not ranked. Consider that in the preseason, Texas was number 1, Penn State number 2, Clemson number 4 in the preseason. They're now a combined 8-7 this season with just one win among them versus Power 4 competition. So the new AP poll right now, 1 through 5 looks like this. Ohio State number 1, followed by Miami, Oregon, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. Let's continue that talk right now with that in terms of teams falling off. Someone who has had a front row seat to this all season long, Tom Hannifan. He is the host of the State of State podcast on the Believe Network for Penn State, also play-by-play man for TNA Wrestling as well. But we're talking college football right now. And Tom, we were just talking here in the break before we started the show. That was one to watch, was really almost like disbelief. I mean, if there's one game you would pick that Penn State would not get it done, this was it. I mean, UCLA, again, was, complete disarray. Head coach gone, both coordinators gone. It's next man up on the coaching staff, let alone the players. And yet they came out with a plan, and Penn State just looked right by him, and they paid the price.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements to the game to unpack. There wasn't just one thing. It was a complete system failure for Penn State football in a way that none of us expected as people who cover the team, people that are fans, and I don't think the team expected it as well. My biggest takeaway from the game, Larry, was just that this looked like a roster that was going through the motions. Lack of investment, lack of concern, no sense of urgency, undisciplined in a way that is very uncommon for James Franklin coach teams, regardless of where he has been, Vanderbilt or Penn State. So it was surprising on a number of levels. It looked like a UCLA team that was having fun and obviously had nothing to lose and everything to gain, and were trying to take down a Goliath. And you had a Penn State team that I think took this for granted, and it's always that concern of one loss snowballing into two. James Franklin talks about it all the time, and it happened. And I was having conversations with friends about where does this rank among worst losses of all time in college football? And it's not exactly Appalachian State toppling Michigan once upon a time. I'd say that's a larger gap in talent than what Penn State experienced, but this is arguably the worst loss in the history of Penn State football. You just lost to a winless UCLA team that was statistically in every category the worst team in the Power Four. And it just didn't get better the more that we learned about the hardships of UCLA. Jerry Neuheisel, for instance, taking over play calling with 2 days to install a game plan. And he didn't even know how to work the headset on the sideline. So not great.
And no matter how you turn, it's like, oh, each page gets worse as you turn and talk about it. You're exactly right. And a team that, again, comes out and scores 42 points when for the entire season they hadn't topped 23. And that was against UNLV.
Yeah. Listen, I give all the credit to UCLA because they went out there and they took the game early. The decision to go for the onside kick after the opening score and then making it 10-0 and just jumping out on Penn State, I think really demoralized the Nittany Lions early on. But their offensive game plan was outstanding. It's something that Penn State has struggled against this season. They've struggled against in the past as well. If they play a true dual threat quarterback, they can have some problems. Now, this was the surprising thing for me about Nico Iamaleava is that this season, yes, he has been that dual threat guy, but at Tennessee, they kind of wanted to keep him in the pocket more. He wasn't necessarily looking to run or be the primary ball carrier. So I think the way that UCLA approached this game was very intelligent, and it mimicked a lot of the things that Oregon did against Penn State in Happy Valley in that raucous whiteout. Is that they got the ball out of Nico's hands quickly in the passing game. They weren't necessarily trying to burn Penn State deep every time. It was dink and dunk, trying to get the safeties to move up, and then they got their shots downfield. So the secondary for Penn State was exposed. The tremendous lack of depth at linebacker was exposed. Part of that was due to Tony Rojas' injury earlier in the season, Dom DeLuca getting banged up in the middle of the game against UCLA. The lack of depth along the defensive line was something Penn State fans were worried about in the offseason. It's Denai Dennis-Sutton and Zane Duran against the world, and when those two guys don't have a good game, it's not an elite defensive line. And I think it proved, to my eyes, just how damn good Abdul Carter was last season. And he was switching from linebacker to D-end for the first time at the college level. He didn't figure it out until halfway through the season, and Penn State was able to get pressure with 4 last year. Denai Dennis-Sutton was undisciplined, running almost straight past the ball carrier, or at least trying to contain Nico Imaliava. It was not a good effort on every front, but that's just the defense.
Yeah. 42-37, Penn State falls, and not just 3-2, but now 0-2. Not only in the Big Ten, but 0-2 against Power 4 teams, because you opened with 3 money games with Nevada, FIU, and Villanova all at home. Where does this team go from here now? Because, look, I mean, you still have Ohio State coming up in a couple of weeks. You have Indiana as well. Indiana's playing very well. They're not the Indiana of old. We thought when you got rid of divisions that would open things up for Penn State. That's not the case right now in 2025.
No, I think after the UCLA loss, everything is possible, and that's not a good thing. I've been saying for this entire offseason that Penn State can credibly contend for the national championship in 2025. I do not believe that statement holds any water anymore. Now it's Penn State has to win out to make the college football playoff, period. Because if you beat Ohio State in Columbus and then you take care of Indiana at home, I believe they have Nebraska at home as well in November. So all of a sudden, that's not a gimme. You'll be going to Iowa at Kinnick, is always scary in the Big Ten in just a couple of weeks. So I take nothing for granted anymore looking at this team, because you just proved that you shouldn't. So they have to win out the rest of the way if they want to make the college football playoff. But even still, Larry, I'll ask you, does this look like a team that can win the national championship even if they got into the playoff?
No. And I was going to give them, with the mistakes against Oregon, it's Oregon. And
sure, yeah.
But you give them, okay, on one night, overtime, okay, it's fine. But no, this does not. And that's the thing that, like you said, it just was just not prepared. And, we've seen it over the years against a Michigan or against an Ohio State. Well, okay, they took care of all the rest. But again, that's out of the way now. But to your point, no, right now, here's a team, like you said, just focus on, the whole module. We're going 1-0 this week. Well, yeah, I mean, this was a gimme. This, if you lost to Nebraska, if you got surprised by Iowa, okay, this was UCLA. Like we said, I mean, that could not get anything done. It goes. Obviously, the question is with coaching, and James Franklin, for a guy who wins 10 games year in, year out, is perpetually on the hot seat. It feels like it's real warm right now. I would ask Penn State fans who are upset, who do you get that's better? I think he's a very good coach, but at some point you want to get the next level. And the question now becomes, I know you've already asked it, can James Franklin, is he that guy?
I don't think he is. I haven't felt that way for a while. I think you need to be reasonable when you look at his body of work at Penn State. There's a lot of good that has been done. Taking this team over after the sanctions from Joe Paterno's leaving the program and then his passing, the Sandusky scandal, it cannot be overstated, the job that James Franklin and company had to do. All of the little things that people outside of the program don't see, he had to bring those things forward and improve the program just to get people to want to come to Penn State. Saquon Barkley was a program-changing talent, and didn't single-handedly take them to the Big Ten title in 2016, but he was as unstoppable of a player as we've ever seen at the college level and had a great supporting cast around him. So you have that peak. I think, unfortunately, for many years, Penn State's been playing money ball in the recruiting game, in that every 3-4 years, they have a top 10 class, and then it dips into the teens and the mid-teens, low teens, whatever you want to call it. I think this is a team that, one, has not had the funding to be able to do this for a while. And to come back to funding, James Franklin's buyout right now is $56 million. He is under contract until 2031. It dips by $8.5 million every year. So January 1st, it'll be $48 million. Penn State does not have the money to fire a coach to that tune. In 3 or 4 years, when the number is a lot more friendly, maybe. But all of the money that they will realize from companies like Adidas, West Shore Home, Amica, the list goes on and on, Venmo, I mean, that's not going to be realized from a budgeting standpoint for a handful of years. I think Pat Kraft, the athletic director, wants to win, believes in James Franklin. But I always say this, man, beware the Bo Pelini effect. You ask James Franklin to leave or you separate and you pay him. I don't necessarily have the answer to who that guy is, because for every Mark Richt situation at Georgia, there is not always a Kirby Smart that follows. Those diamonds in the rough are tough to identify, and I don't know where Penn State goes from there.
Yeah, it is. Well, right now, I mean, it's again, we just mentioned a moment ago, hard to believe that Penn State, Texas, and Clemson among them have just one Power Four win. Who would have thought? Who had that on their bingo card back at the beginning? Well, looking ahead right now, if you're Penn State, you've been around this program for a long time. If you're James Franklin, the players, the coaches, how do you rebound from this? And luckily, you have a Northwestern team that's not very good, so you can kind of take out some frustrations. But you got to bring it. I mean, if there's no bigger wake-up call than what you just got out at the Rose Bowl on Saturday.
Yeah, you can't disrespect any of your opponents whatsoever. And I don't think that's the mindset of this coaching staff. I don't think it's ever been that way. There's always a tremendous amount of respect shown by the players and by the staff. But just because the logo says Northwestern this coming weekend at home doesn't matter. You have to play your absolute best. And here's the thing historically about Northwestern. This year and every year that I have watched them as a Big Ten fan, they drag you down because they don't have the elite talent to match up with you nose to nose, man to man, that sort of thing. So their concept is consistently to play leather helmet football, make it a rock fight, make it low scoring, make you be perfect, make you force you into turnovers, force you into difficult third down situations. And that's what's killed Penn State for most of this season. I give a lot of credit to Drew Aller. I've been hard on him. He was the best player on the field for Penn State against UCLA. He had a good game, but it just wasn't enough. So you've got to start to find answers. This wide receiver core, at least on paper, is better than last year, but I still don't see guys getting separation. Game planning. Andy Kolonicki's got to get away from the cute bells and whistles, gimmicky offense that this is what this is. And for the life of me, Larry, I do not understand why Nick Singleton is your featured running back for most of these games we've seen now between Oregon and UCLA, when Katron Allen is the far more productive and consistent tailback. It blows my mind. So there's a lot of things that hopefully they figure out between now and Saturday.
I want to get a question as well at quarterback. Drew Aller, now the third year as a starting quarterback. His backup, Pribula,
Missouri.
Yeah, goes to Missouri and is having a fantastic season. And there's some critics that maybe wonder, did Penn State choose the wrong guy? Should they have gone Pribula instead of Aller?
Hindsight's 2020. So I think the answer right now is a resounding yes. And Bo Pribula is having an outstanding season within SEC play. Mizzou's going to have a really tough schedule the rest of the way. So I think they'll come back down to earth a little bit. So, wait until the season's over, really make that evaluation. From a political standpoint and from a monetary standpoint, there was never a universe where Penn State football having the chance to keep either Drew Aller or Bo Pribula was not going to pick Drew Aller. It never was going to happen. But you can look back and say, well, if the universe had turned upside down and Drew Aller wasn't a 5-star recruit and he wasn't somebody that they heralded as the face of the program and thrown a bunch of money at an NIL. Yeah, like you throw all those huge factors out the window. Yeah, Bo Pribula, his style of offense is what fits what James Franklin wants to do, what Andy Kotelnicki wants to do. Penn State's greatest success at quarterback under James Franklin, Trace McSorley, Sean Clifford, as much as that second one wants to bother people, but a dual threat quarterback who can create situations where it's 10 hats versus 11 offensively to defensively, and that really helps out. Drew Aller can kind of do those things, but it's not his game. He is a traditional pocket passer. And it's as of right now, I think the answer is yes. But there's just no realistic world where there was ever going to be a situation where they'd be like, oh, Drew, you can take a walk as we're heading into the college football playoff
Right.
and we're going to roll with the backup quarterback. Like everybody would have been fired in a heartbeat.
Exactly. Appreciate that perspective. And you're right. It is kind of a, what have you done for me lately? He did go to the playoffs last year. So, exactly. But a lot of questions right now in Happy Valley. Not so happy. Tom, always good to talk with you and get your insights. Listen, enjoy the rest of the way. There's got to be
Thanks.
there's a Power 4 win out there, a Big Ten win out there somewhere, and perhaps it's this weekend.
Northwestern at least looks like a winnable game for Penn State. For me, I take solace in the fact that for us in TNA Wrestling, this Sunday, October 12th, Lowell, Massachusetts, if you're in the area, it's our biggest event of the year, Bound for Glory, live on pay-per-view and TNA Plus. So I am going to tolerate Penn State on Saturday, and then on Sunday, I'm going to be in my happy place with TNA Wrestling.
Nice. Awesome. Well, we love you wear a lot of hats and do it so well, and we appreciate your talents here, as always, my friend. Take care, and enjoy this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. Tom Hannifan once again joining us. He's the host of State of State podcast on the Believe Network for Penn State. Also, as he mentioned, play-by-play for TNA Wrestling and the big match coming up this weekend in Massachusetts. So you can catch Tom at a lot of places. We love having multi-talented people spend time with us. More to come on the way. We've got Major League Baseball, WNBA coming up. Also, we'll talk more college football. And Austin Nivison from CBS Sports joins us talking NHL. It's all going up right here on the Sports IQ.
You're listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Welcome back here to the show. Great to talk with Tom and the issues at Penn State. It's not going to end anytime soon. Okay, let's get into some playoff talk right now. First in baseball, the Yankees are one game away from elimination. Troy Savage with 11 strikeouts to tie a Toronto or set a Toronto playoff record. 13-7 the final. The Blue Jays get the win. They were up 2-0 in this series with Game 3 tomorrow night in the Bronx. Vlad Guerrero Jr. with the first postseason grand slam in team history. Boy, the Toronto bats were just on fire in these first two games. 29 hits, producing 23 runs. In fact, they outscored the Yankees 23-8. These two teams, remember, tied for the AL East title. The Blue Jays, they took the division title in the home field edge by way of the tiebreak. They won 8-13 in the regular season and they win the first two here. Yankees have some work to do as they now face elimination in this best-of-5 series. ALDS, the other series in Seattle, Julio Rodriguez with the game-winning RBI double in the bottom of the eighth as the Mariners get the win over Detroit 3-2. This series now tied at 1. Fifth consecutive playoff game with an extra base hit for Rodriguez. That is a new team record. Detroit wasting an effort by Tariq Skubal, who struck out 9 in 7 innings, but the bullpen couldn't hold it again. They take the day off to travel, and Game 3 of this series in Detroit tomorrow. The NL had Sunday off. Those two series resume tonight. It's Game 2, both in Philadelphia, where the Dodgers already have a 1-0 lead, taking on the Phillies. Snell versus Luzardo in that one. And Chicago coming out of the wild card round, taking on Milwaukee, trying to even that series at 1. Brewers took Game 1. It's Imanaga against Ashby in that one. WNBA. The Aces are cruising right now. 91-78. They get the Game 2 win on Sunday over Phoenix. Jackie Young with a career playoff high, 32 points. That ties her career playoff high. 21 points in the third quarter. That is an WNBA Finals record for most points scored in a third quarter. It's one shy of tying the record for most points in any quarter in the finals. But again, Las Vegas is now a best-of-7 series in the WNBA Finals. They take a couple of days off. Game 3 is at Phoenix on Wednesday, and so now the Mercury must win 4 out of the next 5 if they are to win a league record-tying 4th WNBA championship. Or right now, the Aces are halfway home toward their 3rd title in 4 years. What a job they have done there with Asia Wilson, the MVP, 4-time MVP, first time that's ever happened, one player winning 4 MVPs, and Becky Hammond, the job that she did this year, taking a team again that was 11-11 at the All-Star break, coming on strong to take over the number 2 seed, 16-game win streak to end the season, and now here they are again, 2 wins away from a championship. Okay, we've got much more to come right now. NHL season's underway. Producer Tony is with Austin Nivison coming up, and we've got still on the way more college football talk and a moment of awe that set a record. Wait until you hear what happened this weekend. That's all ahead on the Sports IQ.
Everything is expensive right now. Gas, food, you name it. You're spending more, you are making the same or less money. So, what do? You rack up credit card debt. That's what you do. It's not your fault. It's the economy. And guess what? If you rack up too much credit card debt like some of us, you can't pay your bills. Then the credit card companies, as nice as they are, start hounding you for money. Then you start your downward spiral. A smart thing for you to do is to call the Zero Debt. They can help you consolidate all your credit card bills into one affordable payment. Millions of people have done it. It works to make you debt-free. Make this free call right now. It costs you nothing to learn more.
800-507-7293. 800-507-7293. 800-507-7293. That's 800-507-7293. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right. For about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're going to love it. And you're going to love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now. 800-215-0341. 800-215-0341. 800-215-0341. That's 800-215-0341.
You're locked in to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Welcome back here to the Sports IQ on this Monday, October 6th. Let's go to producer Tony, who has our next guest.
Well, Larry, thanks so much. And, this is always such an exciting time of year when you get to October. Baseball playoffs, college football, pro football. Then hockey starts up right in that beginning part of October, just when everybody's kind of waned off and been wanting for some ice action to get going, hoping for some cooler temperatures around the country. I know we are here in South Georgia, but I don't think we're going to get them for a while. So let's take a talk. Let's talk about this 2025-2026 NHL season. Austin Nivison, CBSSports.com, hockey writer, joining us. Austin, it's been a long off season, hasn't it?
Yes, long and, frankly, not enough action for my liking on the free agent and trade market. So just glad to get hockey back at this point.
It really was a quiet offseason. There really wasn't much done. I think, the one team who won it all last year, won it all the year before, Florida Panthers, made big splashes keeping their core together in the beginning of free agency. And that was like all that we all really heard in free agency, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was, the Panthers kind of, took some of the air out of the balloon there in free agency and stuff like that by getting Sam Bennett back and re-signing Brad Marchand, getting these pretty good deals on these veteran guys. Now, how will those deals age? I don't know, but for now, they're still very, very good. And look, they need those guys back now because if they had lost them, and now, Matthew Tkachuk is out until at least December. Barkov is out 7 to 9 months. If they hadn't done that, they'd be in serious trouble. But now I think they have enough to weather the storm until Tkachuk gets back.
And that injury to Matthew Tkachuk, is that something that Panthers fans should be worried about? Is it that kind of injury that might linger even when he does come back in December? They need to be careful with him?
I think that may come down to where they are in the standings. Like if they have some breathing room in a playoff spot, just don't rush him back. Let him take his time. I know he wants to play in the Olympics as well, so he may want to take some extra time and make sure he's ready for that. But that may just depend on whether the Panthers are in the standings. And honestly, the Barkov loss is way bigger because you think on the wings, they still have Reinhart, they still have Verhaeghe, Marchand, Losterrein. I still think they have pretty good talent there. But down the middle, look, you still have Lundell and Sam Bennett. But Barkov is the guy that makes, he makes the whole thing go down there with this two-way game because not only is he, generating, a lot of offense, but he's doing so against the toughest minutes against opponents' best players. And, he's one of, a handful of guys across the league that can do that at a really high level.
If you take a look, the Panthers have owned the Eastern Conference the last few years. In the regular season 3 years ago, they were the best team in the regular season, and then flamed out in the playoffs, then come back, and they've won it the last 2 years. How much longer can they really keep this thing together? We've seen hockey dynasties like with the Oilers, about a 4-year run, the Canadians, about a 4-year run back in the 70s. But today, we usually don't see anything much past 2 years. You think they've got a third one in them?
I think they do. If they can weather the injury situation, I think they do, just because part of that is the way guys leave in free agency all the time. Well, they haven't had anybody leave in free agency. And on top of that, you kind of figure like the GM, Bill Zito, he's done a great job of being aggressive. When he sees his team has a need or his team has a hole to fill, he's aggressive in going to make that happen, which kind of makes me wonder, what is he going to do with all this long-term injury cap savings he has with Barkov out for so long? So I would keep an eye out to see if he can try to pull something there. But I do think they can keep it going. It won't be easy, because I do think the Carolina Hurricanes got better this offseason. I think the New Jersey Devils are certainly a threat in the East. And then obviously you have, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to be very good again. In the same state, the Tampa Bay Lightning. So yeah, they've got competition, but I think they can do it.
When you look now, the opposite end of that Stanley Cup battle, the Edmonton Oilers, 2 years in a row, got to the finals, couldn't quite push through and get the cup. It's been over 30 years since a Canadian team has hoisted the cup. Is there anybody there up north of the border? Is Edmonton the real hope to get that cup back to Canada in the next few years?
Yeah, I think it probably is. Toronto is also in that discussion. And then if Montreal can take another step forward, if the Senators can take another step forward, they'll eventually get there, but I don't think they're there quite yet. I do think with the Oilers, this is a very big year for them, because obviously July 1st came and went. Connor McDavid was eligible to sign a contract extension. He still has not signed a contract extension. And now you're hearing 2 years, maybe 3 years. So it doesn't sound like he's going to be long term if and when he does sign that extension. And I think that's because I think the Oilers need to do a better job selling him on their long term vision of what they can build around him. Because if you think about it, the same issues have plagued this team for the last few years. The goaltending has been a mess. They've done really nothing to address that in any kind of meaningful way. And then the other thing is the depth scoring. They went out and got Victor Arvidsson and Jeff Skinner before last season. Those moves did not work at all. And they still haven't upgraded that much at all. So it's just, I think they need to show Connor McDavid, hey, we're willing to be aggressive and do whatever it takes to surround you with the best supporting, because he has to look at, teams like the Lightning and the Panthers who are willing to do whatever it takes to surround their stars with the best talent possible.
Is this almost like, since he hasn't signed that extension, is Edmonton fans, should they start worrying like we may be seeing the last? If they're out of it at the trade deadline, would that be something the Edmonton Oilers would have to consider moving him if they don't think he's going to resign?
So for starters, I would say not worrying yet, because I do still think the sense out there is still that he will sign. It'll be shorter term, but he will sign. Now, if it goes that deep, then yes, I would start getting more worried. And I would be pretty surprised if they were out of it, just because of the weakness of the Pacific Division. Even if the Oilers take a step back, that Pacific Division is just not very good. It's basically the Oilers and the Golden Knights and everybody else. So I would imagine, something's gone horribly wrong if they don't. But I do think that if we go deeper into the season, he still hasn't signed, then you can start sweating a little bit, because there's going to be 31 other teams lined up in July to pitch Connor McDavid on why he should join their team.
That would be a pretty interesting free agent deal, right? That's up there with the likes of Gretzky becoming a free agent, Shaq becoming a free agent, Jordan becoming a free agent, the things along those lines. You just don't get that generational talent hitting the market in any sport, but it could happen if he doesn't believe that the team is giving him what he needs for a title, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does. It goes back to just that. The goaltending has sunk them, and then when he's not been on the ice, they have not been scoring, particularly in the playoffs. it's a real problem. And yeah, like it would be, you don't see guys like of his caliber hit the market because teams are often way ahead of it. As soon as that July 1st hits, not long after that, they make sure they're signed. And sometimes they even maybe overpay a little bit. You saw that with Kirill Kaprizov in the Wild. It's like, okay, we can give Kirill Kaprizov, was it 16, $17 million a year, which is expensive, but the cap is rising, or we could lose him for perhaps nothing. And you're much better with Kirill Kaprizov maybe making a little more than he should than you are without him. So, yeah, it would be one of the biggest free agencies, if not the biggest free agency the NHL's ever seen.
Looking over to the East, the Capitals had the big season last year. Ovechkin chasing that record. He finally got it. Most goals scored. How much longer do you see him hanging around in the league? He seems to just still love the game. Does he have enough left in the tank to carry that Washington franchise?
That is a good question. I I don't know how much longer he has in the tank. He's going to hit 900 pretty quickly. Be the first player ever to get there early in the season. He should. And then, I don't know if this would be his last year. I really don't know how much gas he has left in his tank, but what I do know about Ovechkin is that he is, as the kids would say, built different. Here's a guy who eats Subway and hot Cheetos before games. He famously likes to have soda in his water bottle on the bench. That's the type of diet that would get most guys, they'd be out of the league after 3 years, but he's still rolling for whatever reason. And let's not forget, the guy broke his leg last season and still scored 40 plus goals, was on a 82 game pace for 55 goals at his age. So yes, his defensive game is crumbling. We just released our tops. We ranked the top 75 players at CBS. I think he was around 60. So he's not in that elite tier anymore, and that the problem there is his defense. But man, he can still score with the best of them. If you need a goal, it's good to have him on the ice. And obviously on the power play, teams have been trying to stop that for years. So if he wanted to play a couple more years, he's going to give the Capitals an offensive boost. I think they just need to insulate him with guys who are a little bit better on the defensive end.
Last season there were a number of blue blood programs, right, in the NHL. It goes beyond the original six. They're a big part of that blue blood regimen. But if you look at the Bruins, the Rangers, the Penguins, the Blackhawks, all of these traditional power teams all missed the playoffs last year. Which one of those four do you think might have retooled? And nobody did a lot of retooling, but which one of those four might be able to make that step and get back at least into the playoffs this year?
I have to go with the Rangers there because I like Mike Sullivan as a head coach. And the Rangers, I still think, have talent. It's just a situation where, for whatever reason, everything fell apart. And you do see under Peter Laviolette, typically a couple years in, 3 years in, things start to take a turn for whatever reason. So now you have a new coach and Mike Sullivan, who I think is very good at his job. And you still have plenty of talent. JT Miller, was last year the start of the beginning of the end for Miko Zibanejad, or was that just a step back? Igor Shesterkin wasn't at his best. If Igor Shesterkin returns to his Vezina Trophy form, they're probably going to be a playoff team again, just based on that alone. Adam Fox is still back there on the back end. Alexei Lafreniere, another disappointing player last year, but we've seen him be great. So you have a lot of this. You still have talent on that roster. It's just a matter of, can Mike Sullivan maximize it in a much better way than Laviolette did?
We normally see in the NHL season, for whatever reason, there's always one surprise team, somebody that makes a big, bold move up the standings, that becomes, nobody really thought about them. Nobody was expecting them. Who might that team be this year that might be able to elevate their entire roster and become an interesting factor in the playoff races?
Well, as much as I would love to say the Buffalo Sabres are going to end their playoff drought, I will not say that. Going to make them do it before I say that. But I'm all in on the Utah Mammoth this year. I love that team. They're so fun. Obviously, they have Clayton Keller is a great player. He's been a great player for a while. Mikhail Sergachev was a nice fit on their blue line last year after they acquired him from the Lightning. But man, all the young talent on this roster, they traded for JJ Paterka, one of the only big moves of the offseason on the trade market. They went and got Paterka from Buffalo, a guy that can give them 30 goals, a lot of skill offensively. But really, the guys I'm most excited about would be Logan Cooley down the middle. I think he is the type of kid that could, at the age of like 20 last year, he's put up 65 points, did not look out of place. I think he's right there on that cusp of stardom. So I like Cooley a lot. And then I think like they've got Dylan Gunther. They have so much young talent who seems to be right on the doorstep of taking that next step. And I think their coach, Andre Tourigny, I think that he has them playing a fun style. So I will be tuning into Mammoth games quite often. And I do think they could jump up to like that third spot in the Central or one of the West's 2 wild card spots.
And you mentioned it earlier on in our conversation about, this is an Olympic year for these guys. So they won't be in an all-star game. They'll just be the Olympics. What does that do to the psyche of the teams going in? Does that change their thinking about the season at all, knowing they're going to get this, 2.5 week break basically in the middle?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, one, it probably makes the owners and general managers nervous that their star players have to go play 2 weeks of intense international play that don't count towards the NHL standings. But I do think, like, when it comes to, I wonder if you can push guys who are not the Olympians a little bit harder, a little bit closer to that break, just knowing that break is coming. So if there are nicks and bumps and bruises, they will have that time to heal. I wonder if it's like, almost like an NFL team before a bye week or a college team before a bye week. You're going to give your stars a little bit, maybe playing more snaps than they would otherwise because they have this rest coming up. So I wonder if you see teams there starting around the turn of the new year start to press the gas pedal a little bit more on some of their guys just because you're going to have an extended break in February this year.
Austin Nivison, hockey sports writer for CBSSports.com. Thanks so much. Great insight, getting us ready for the puck to be dropping and for the ice to be heating up over there around the rinks this year. Hockey, always so exciting. Such a great flow to the game. We look forward to watching the teams and we'll be calling on you regularly during the season to give us some updates on what's happening around the league.
I look forward to it.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much, Austin. We'll be back on Sports IQ. We're going to take a quick timeout, and then we'll be right back.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. Now you can get Vivint's award-winning home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News & World Report has recognized Vivint as the best professionally installed home security system of 2022. And right now, you can get Vivint's home security technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation from a licensed technician. Protect your home and loved ones for as low as $1 a day. Call right now for your free home security consultation.
800-613-8053. 800-613-8053. 800-613-8053. That's 800-613-8053.
Producer Tony, great stuff there with Austin Nivison. Always good to have him on the show. As we get back now into college football, I want to get your thoughts. We were talking earlier. I'm watching the score. I see Penn State down 24-7. I'm like, okay, that's insane. Must have had a pick six or something somewhere. They never recovered. I mean, they finally put points on the board, but this was UCLA. That was a team that was in as disarray as any Power 5, Power 4 team out there, and yet they got it done at home.
Yeah, you come into a contest, know you're traveling to UCLA. Okay, I know you're going from East Coast to West Coast. I get it. You just played Oregon. It was a tough game. You lost. But if you're not ready to play this UCLA team and just spank them, there's something wrong inside that program. I don't know if it's a player problem. I don't know if it's a coaching issue, but that can't happen. Not if you want to be a team that's considered for the playoff. I don't know. This UCLA team may win 2 games this season. May. And that's not a given. I don't know how you rebound from that. If you're Penn State, you better beat everybody on the rest of your schedule, and you better win by 2 or 3 touchdowns every game the rest of the way. Because if you don't, and I'm a committee member and I'm voting, you're not getting in with 3 losses. You're not with that loss on your schedule.
Yeah, that kills you. And the other side now in Texas, we talked about them. Penn State and Texas were 1-2, right, to start the season in the preseason. But we talked about parity, how in terms of NIL and the transfer portal has evened things out, and no divisions now. Texas is now. You look at they're no longer. Not only they're not number one, they're out of the poll. And as you were saying a moment ago, the top 2 teams in the poll right now from the SEC are Ole Miss and Texas A&M. And then Oklahoma to follow at number 6.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't believe Texas has fallen where they've fallen. I mean, this is not a team that I expected to have these kind of issues. Look, Arch Manning hasn't set the world on fire. We know that. I read a couple of posts this weekend of Texas fans issuing apology letters to Quinn Ewers for getting on him the last 2 years after watching Arch these first few weeks. I mean, I can't believe where they're at right now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not what you expected out of the Texas Longhorns this year. I don't know how they recover. They're going in to play Oklahoma this week. They're going to be an underdog in that game. For Penn State and Texas, there is no more leeway. You either win out and win your conference, or you're not going to the playoff.
Yeah. And in the SEC, I just don't know. Right now, you've got what I'm counting in the top 10: Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Alabama, and Georgia at 10, followed by LSU at 11, Tennessee at 12. So, and then Missouri at 14. So that's 8 of the top 14 out of the SEC. Who among those really surprised you this year so far?
You know, I mean, I never expected Ole Miss to be this good in the SEC. And right now, they are playing some great football. I thought losing Jackson Dart was going to be tougher to replace than it is. Obviously, they've replaced him very well. The defense is playing great. The offense is doing what they need to do. Texas A&M went in the portal, got exactly what they wanted. We talked last year about them having issues being able to score points and not being able to throw the ball. Well, now they can definitely throw the football. They got a couple of exciting wideouts in the portal. It really, Larry, college football has really become almost exactly like the NFL. How many moves can you make in the offseason to fill holes and get better?
Yeah. And we talk about money too, and programs with the money have money to spend. You hear about Ohio State, you hear about Miami, you hear about Texas Tech. Now the team to beat in the Big 12 at number 9 right now. They're a 5-0 start. Those are the teams you hear about money-wise, and they're the teams right now that they're at the top.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look, Miami knew what the holes they had to fill. They knew they needed a quarterback once they lost Cam Ward. They went out, paid the money, got it. This is as good a team as money can buy in Miami. Take nothing away. They're not doing anything wrong.
Right.
They're playing the game better than other people are playing the game, and give them credit for doing that. Same with Texas Tech. There's nothing that says they can't do that. So they're going out and doing it and having fun doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about that. It's been fun to watch this week. Ohio State, number 1. We don't talk about them because they just win and win and win, starting with the win over Texas. Now it doesn't look quite as impressive because Texas hasn't had the great season. They already have 2 losses, but they just rolled through Minnesota. They're already a 2-touchdown favorite this week going into Champaign to take on Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State has looked the part right from the get-go. You know, they've been strong all around. The offense is strong, defense strong. Sayan is doing everything. He's protecting the ball. He's added a little bit of a dimension of being able to run the football to that offense. They're as good as it gets right now. I'm looking forward to seeing Ohio State and Oregon get together again. Last year, the regular season was a classic. In the playoffs, it was a blowout. But I think that Oregon team will have a little bit to prove when they get there.
Yeah, and speaking of Oregon, huge game, a CBS 3:30 kick on Saturday. 2 undefeated, number 7 Indiana at number 3 Oregon. That should be fantastic. All right. By the way, we should say it was producer Tony who said in the preseason that until a team gets knocked off, the defending champion is still number 1. He had Ohio State number 1 at the beginning, and right now he's looking very smart. This is why he's a member of the Sports IQ team. All right. Moment of Awe is up next.
Fans of big sports radio and sports spectacular podcasts have a new home on the Chief Sports Network. Find your favorite programs and content all in one place by downloading the Chief Sports app in your mobile device. Created in South Carolina, the Chief Sports Network is the home of an expanding network of live and podcast format programming. It is also the home of one of the leading national college football podcasts, JC and Morgan, hosted by ESPN's Mike Morgan and 24/7 Sports' JC Sherbert. Download the Chief Sports app for free and find all of your favorite programming under one easy umbrella. Thanks to all of our markets for your loyal support of Big Sports Radio and our Sports Spectacular podcast, and we look forward to connecting with you anywhere in the world on the Chief Sports app.
Time now for a moment of awe, and this one's pretty crazy. You know, there are 18 quarterbacks right now in Division I who have a completion percentage of 70% or better, and one of them is not Taron Dickens, who set an NCAA record on Saturday. The Western Carolina quarterback completed his first 46 pass attempts in the game. That's a new NCAA record, shattering the old one that was 29 set back in 2013. Taron Dickens, 46 completions in a row to start the game. He wound up 53 of 56 in the game. Western Carolina, by the way, beating Wofford 23-21, who clearly just had tackling dummies on defense. I mean, how does that even happen? But anyway, 46 in a row. Listen, go out today in the yard with someone you can't complete 46 in a row in your backyard. And this guy did it in a Division I college football game. Insane. That truly is our moment of awe. Hey, I appreciate Austin Nivison coming by. I appreciate Tom Hannifan as well. We appreciate you. It's a Sports IQ. We're one down this week. We will try to do better tomorrow. Make it a great day. We'll see you Tuesday on the Sports IQ.
Thanks for listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith, Monday through Friday. Continue the conversation at Sports IQ LS. We'll see you next time.